Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Shirani. Today I'm going to show you how to make Belizean potato pound. Okay, so for this recipe I'm using 2.5 pounds of Korean sweet potatoes, and to me this is the closest thing to the ones we get back home. I'm going to peel them and then I'll be back. So the traditional way to grate this is to use a box grater like this, and you use the finest side, but I've come to realize this is hard work. I do not like using this, so I was trying to come up with an easier way of how to do this, and I've tried it in my blender and my food processor, and the food processor works the best. Because I have a powerful blender, so when I put it in there, it almost makes it too smooth, so I don't like that. So then I tried it in my food processor and that gave me the texture I wanted. It feels just like if you grate it on the box grater. So what you'll want to do is cut your sweet potato into cubes like this. You want to get it as small as you can just so it's easier on your food processor. So when I was working on this recipe, I wasn't so sure what to call it because everybody at Belize call it something different, so I just never know what. I know everybody have their own name for it. Some people call it potato pound, some say potato pone, some say potato pudding. Make I know in the comments what you call it. Okay, so now I'm finally finished, and just make sure you cut them around the same size. For this recipe, you're also going to need some fresh ginger, and you need about an inch piece like this or a little bit bigger, it doesn't matter, and just cut it into small pieces so you can put it in your food processor. As you can see, I have a lot, so I'm going to do this in batches, and I'm also going to add some coconut milk to this so it can blend easily. I'm using 2 cans of coconut milk total, and don't worry about the measurements. I'm going to have everything listed below for you. This has been a very highly requested video, but I've been putting it off just because I knew it would take a lot of time to test this recipe. I made this recipe 4 different times before I could get it to where I wanted it, and that's just because here in the States we have different kinds of sweet potatoes, and I was trying to find one as close as possible to the ones we use back home, so this is what I came up with. You always want to make sure you go in there and scrape it down and then blend it some more. Like I said, I've tested this in a blender also, but I felt like the texture was too smooth. And then I also used my box grater, but that took a long time. My hands were hurting after I was finished. I was so tired. It took me like 2 hours to grate this much sweet potatoes, so I said, never again. I'm never doing that. So I came up with the food processor. Don't forget, I'm also blending the ginger in here with the coconut milk, so it's just 3 things together. Look at this, look at the texture. It looks like if I grated it on the box grater. I'm so impressed with this. I love this food processor and it's so easy to use, so I'm going to leave it linked below if you're interested. If you don't know, I have an Amazon store where I have all my favorite kitchen items, so you can also check that out. I never talk about it on my channel, but I've had it for a long time. I had to transfer it to a bigger bowl because that one was just too small. I'm just going to mix everything together and make sure I don't have any big pieces in there. Sometimes, you might not catch everything in the food processor, so I always like to check to make sure. Okay, now I'm going to add 2 cups of brown sugar to that, 4 tablespoons of melted margarine, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I'm going to mix that together. Now, I know some people don't like margarine, they like real butter, but I'm making this the authentic way, and if I was in Belize, I would be using margarine because that's what everybody used there. So that's why I'm using that in this recipe. Next, I'm going to add 1 cup of flour to that, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Mix everything really well together. I know somehow they think, "Gal, you crazy, why you dey add flour to this thing? You don't need no flour." Well, let me explain this. So the potatoes here, they're not the same like the ones we get back home. They don't have enough starch in them, so it just won't firm up. You can't cut it. And I've tested this recipe so many times without flour, and it just won't firm up enough to where you can cut it. So the only way that would happen is if I added some flour. I don't like to change a recipe. I don't want to change a recipe, but I have to. And I have to do that with other recipes here. Like, I just have to adjust them to the ingredients here. Okay, I'm going to pour this in my baking dish, and I went ahead and sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray just so it doesn't stick. I'm going to bake this in a preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven for 1 hour and 45 minutes. As you can see, it still looks soft, like it's not done, but I promise you it's done. And you'll know when it's done when the edges are really brown and it's starting to come loose from the pan. I'm going to let this cool down completely overnight and then cut it the next day. So this is what it looks like the next day. It looks a little bit different, and that's how it is. That's how a potato pound is. And I'm just going to cut it and show you what it looks like. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have new nails on. Oh yes, so these are my first press-on nails, and these are from my cousins. This is her business and she designed them herself and do everything. So I'm going to leave her information below if you want to contact her. She can do custom designs or she has her own designs, but they are so pretty and I am loving them. This always makes me so nervous to take out the first piece. I always feel like it's not going to come out. Well, the moment of truth, the most delicious potato pound in my opinion. This was really good. So I hope you give this recipe a try because I put a lot of work into this recipe. This reminds me of a sweet potato pie here in the States. It just tastes like that. My favorite part is the edge. Oh, I love that piece. It's so nice and crispy and chewy, and it's just the best. I couldn't get over how good this was and how good the edge was. That's my favorite part. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And I'll talk to you in my next one. Take care. Bye.